Do you want me to?
Go ahead, man.
Welcome.
He's itching.
Any given Sunday.
He's itching.
Sports special with Jesus, myself. Draft is officially closed. We have a lot to go over, my friend.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to preface this by saying everything that this man says about me, I have no qualms about. He is going to be 100% right about what he's about to say about the New York Powers draft, and I will not debate it because I can know when a mistake is made. I will man up and let you go into town. But we have a lot to get into, not just that. Let's do it. Let's get right to the draft. Steve, my man.
Let's start it off with just surprises. I mean, a lot of us thought that, it's going to be big. We're going to see running backs thrown out first. People are going to be spending that money. Inflation. We get to the draft, and it's like depression.
It was this. It caught me by surprise. Look, I will admit it. I did not expect that, and I did not do a good job audibling. Basically, mid-draft, I wasn't able to audible with it. It completely went the 180 from what I thought it would be. And you know what? Props to the winner of this draft, and I think it's pretty clear who's the winner of this draft, and that's Anthony.
Yeah, Anthony came out swinging.
Who, by the way, I picked to have a really good draft. I did, not this guy.
I did not pick having Anthony because of history, and he still left money. He still left $11.
Yes, he did.
You still left money.
Come on, man.
But it was a much better draft.
Compared to some other teams?
Yeah, compared to...
like this guy right here?
40
amazing.
$41 left
41.
on the table.
It was bad. Go ahead.
All right. Let's get into it. Let's start... how do you want to kick this off? We want to talk per team?
So let's start off with the teams that had the worst draft. We'll start off there for you. So I guess... I let Steve pick this out because, again, I was not in a position because I had a bad draft. So I let Steve decide from worst to first as far as who had the best draft.
And this person had a bad draft simply because they did the exact same thing you did, but with worse players. And they left money on the table. Yeah. And that's got to be Lewis. So
he left 30 plus on the table.
He left 30 plus on the table. Guys he got was Russell Wilson. I like that for 15. Le'Veon Bell for 42. You had Brandon Marshall for 19. Golden Tate. Delaney Walker, Doug Martin, Jeremy Maclin, the Panthers D, Justin Tucker, Emmanuel Sanders, Dion Lewis, Deshaun Jackson, Rashad Jennings, Jordan Matthews, D'Angelo Williams, and Victor Cruz. My problem is once you start getting to the bench, everybody's under $10 and he still had money. Yeah. So, what can you say to this?
I don't think it was the best draft, to be honest with you. Doug Martin, I'm not a big fan of. He could have that $25. He could have taken that 25 plus the money that he had left over, and he could have got himself in Ezekiel Elliott. I said this prior to the draft. That was the player that he should have been zoned in on, completely focused on, and he could have gotten him. I can say this, right? I tell you this 100%. He could have had Zeke Elliott, and he chose not to have Zeke Elliott. So, I mean, you know what? I hate to say it. I think I had a worse draft than this man. Just my opinion, because what I had going in, the opportunities that were there, and I didn't improve. But you decided to put him at number 8.
Yeah, and again, I mean, simply because to your point, he's in a much worse spot when it comes to a roster standpoint. Yeah. So when you go into a draft, you're looking to improve your team. And I agree. I thought he was going to go ham for an Ezekiel.
That's what he should have done.
He should have done it, and he didn't. Now I like some of the other players, but when you start putting them against some of these other rosters that have like deep teams, like an Anthony, like a Pops and a Rich and just the rest of the league, you start to wonder where the wins are going to come from. That's because these guys, although they're good, they're not going to win you games. Le'Veon Bell's the only guy who's going to win you games, and correct me if I'm wrong.
He's out for the first 3 games.
Yeah. So, yeah, he did smart by picking up D'Angelo Williams, which is some backup, but still, is that enough? I don't know.
You're right.
All right, next team. I'm sorry, my friend, but this is you.
That's fact. No, there's no. Why are you apologizing? That's
this wasn't atrocious.
Guys, I'm going to just sit here while he goes and just goes in.
I mean, when you come into the draft with how much? 100 and...
No, not 100. 90
something? 90. Whatever. Basically $100. And you come out, now I'm just going to take out the guys that he's already drafted. You come out with a Bortles. You come out with a Melvin Gordon, which I liked for $1. But then you follow that with a Jeremy Hill, a Jarvis Landry, a Tom Brady, an Eli Manning, a Jeremy Langford, Michael Thomas, Alan Hearns, and you were bidding on a Big Ben, who you missed out on, and you left $41. That's just you should not make it to the playoffs because of that draft. You should not.
Oh, I'm not going to the playoffs?
What can you say to this horrific drafting that you did?
Are you going on record by saying I'm not going to the playoffs?
I didn't say that. I'm just saying you shouldn't. You shouldn't. What do you have to say to yourself?
I'll be honest. I did not have a good draft. And you know me. This is the first year I've ever said that I've had a bad draft. Every year I've always had great drafts, right or wrong?
Yeah.
And I've usually missed the playoffs, right? So maybe, just maybe, the tide is turning, and this is what I have to do. I have to have bad drafts so I can go ahead and find a way to make the playoffs. I really think that maybe this is it. Now look, if I'm being honest, the Eli Manning, once I went and I acquired Eli Manning, everything started to change for me. At that point in time, that was a move I bid on him just to not let Pops get him. And that's one of those rules I always say I never do. I don't bid on a player just to stop someone else from getting them. Once I did that, everything went downhill for me. At that point in time, I couldn't recover. Then Dennis, I had two other guys I was looking at. I had Doug Baldwin and Randall Cobb. I said, oh, you know what? I'll probably go hard for them. And I thought I was going to be the only one. Just so happens that there's a man in this league who thinks just like me, and that's Dennis Graham. And I welcomed him back into the league. You know, I was kicking myself during the draft. You know, why did I bring him back and everything? But you know what? At the end of the day, Dennis outbid me for those guys, and I should have at least gotten one of those two of those guys. At the minimum, one of the two of the guys. So, yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to defend myself, but I will still say this. With all that being said, I have plenty of keeper options, which is what you want to go in. I have the superstars. I have quarterbacks. I think quarterbacks that are going to perform. I don't think you would disagree with that. And it's still a playoff team.
You have 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah. So, and it's still a playoff team in my opinion. But yes, absolutely, this was, to me, the worst draft in this league. I'm not going to deny that.
All right, what can you say to that? All right, so the next team I put myself in this spot simply because I wasn't involved and I was quiet the whole time. Really, the only great pickup for me that I see was Eddie Lacy, who was honestly was top of my board. The only other person I would have went for was Jamal Charles. I had some other guys there. I went for Eddie Lacy once I realized people just weren't going to go crazy. Did I overpay for him? Probably did. But the rest of the guys, I mean, I came into this draft kind of like meh, and I came out with possible keepers for the future if I wanted to change anywhere. But overall, I mean, there was no involvement from me.
Yeah, I didn't like his draft, to be honest with you. I didn't like it at all, and the reason why is because, don't get me wrong, I think Eddie Lacy is a really good pickup for you, right? Mm-hmm. But when you saw what some of these other guys were going for, when you saw a Jamal Charles, who, when you and I had spoken pre-draft, that was the guy you wanted to go after, went for $19. Mm-hmm. You could have had Jamal Charles at 19, and then you could have went and gotten yourself a Jordy Nelson. You could have gotten yourself, I mean, you should have been in the bidding for one of these higher guys. And again, Eddie Lacy, it's not that he's a bad player, but at $45, I feel you could have gotten 2 guys as opposed to that. So that's where my issue was. And then if you take away Eddie Lacy and Demaryius Thomas, I think you paid a combined for those 2 guys $60-something, $61 around there or something like that. You take those 2 guys out, you can easily sub in without an issue. Jordy Nelson and Jamal Charles, I would take that over Eddie Lacy and Demaryius Thomas. That's why I do agree. I have you at 6. You still had a better draft than me, no doubt about it. But that's where I feel you kind of steered the wrong way. You went after the wrong Packer in my book.
I mean, I believe in the Packer. I think he's doing well. I think, you know, again, I wasn't really involved in the fact that I got Demaryius Thomas for cheap. People hate on the Denver Broncos, and I get that. But you guys got to see what he did with Tim Tebow. He's worth more than a $16 credit.
With Tim Tebow.
He's worth more than $16. So
look, mark my words.
It's a win for me.
Demaryius Thomas will not be a top 10 receiver, but at $16, he's not expected to be. So I'm going to give you that. All
right. Next team we got.
Next one, you got Dom.
Dom. All right, so Dom's team. Drew Brees, Lamar Miller, A.J. Green, Brandon Cooks, Greg Olsen, Isaiah Crowell, Corey Coleman. The Seahawks D, you got Chandler, the kicker from Arizona, then Sammy Watkins, Thomas Rawls, Tajay Sharp, Derrick Henry, John Brown, Dante Moncrief, and Tyler Lockett.
Yep.
So this one was a toss-up. I could have put myself above above him, but I like the way he went as far as young talent. I like the Derrick Henry pickup. That was a guy I was looking at. I love Dante Moncrief. I think the Colts are going to have the number one offense this year. And then you got guys like Greg Olson. You got Watkins in there. You got Thomas Rawls. I mean, so it's a solid roster. I think he did pretty well, and for the money he had.
I don't like it. I don't like Isaiah Crowell. First of all, I think Duke Johnson is going to be the main guy there. That's just my opinion. Tajay Sharp. You could have gotten something much better than a Tajay Sharp at that point in the draft. Everybody likes John Brown. I don't personally. That's just my opinion. Mm-hmm. I like Michael Floyd and Fitzgerald better than John Brown. Not that I'm saying he's a bum, but he's very reliant on the big play, on the big pass. I'm never a fan of that. Same thing goes for Tyler Lockett. I do like Corey Coleman at $6. I really, really like that pick. Brandon Cooks at 30, not a big fan of it, but he has the 12-point connection with Drew Brees. Exactly. The only problem is he's not really a red zone threat. So how many touchdowns are you really going to get with a Brandon Cooks as opposed to Kobe Fleener getting the touchdown or Michael Thomas getting the touchdown? Yep. They like to throw to the big guys down there. So I'm not a big fan of him. I actually would say he might have been below you in my book, but again, I'm letting you pick. So
yeah. All right, next one. So this is Rich. Where it gets interesting. Rich.
This is right there.
So Rich did pretty well. He got Big Ben. He's got Devontae Freeman, Julio Jones, Kelvin Benjamin, who he kept. He drafted Travis Kelce. He had Carlos Hyde already. He had Eric Decker already. Then he fills it up with the Houston D, Adam Vinatieri, Julian Edelman, Latavius Murray, Julius Thomas, Vincent Jackson, Arian Foster, Derek Carr, and Josh Doctson. What do you got to say about that?
This is a Rich team. I mean, this is what Rich does. If you notice, he doesn't have big superstars, that many big superstars. He's just well-rounded. Look at that bench. Latavius Murray, starting running back. Yep. Vincent Jackson, starting wide receiver. Yep. Arian Foster, potential to be a starting running back. Derek Carr may even surpass Big Ben, depending if we think he plays the way he's capable of. Yep. I don't like Josh Doctson too much. So this is a Rich team. He went ahead and he just basically fine-tuned the rest of it. He stole Big Ben from me. That was the guy that, as you know, I wanted. I tried to get him. I should have kept going, as Steve said. I did not, and he got him. And good props to Rich. Rich, I think you had a pretty good draft, top 4 definitely.
Yeah, we definitely have a great draft, and I love the Julius Thomas pickup. That was one he stole from me, so good on him. Next guy we have, Dennis. I mean, there's no surprise. This guy came out. We knew he was going to be a threat. We knew he would put a team together.
He was a thorn in my side in this draft.
He did it. He did it once again. So he had Cam Newton to start with for $18. He drafted C.J. Anderson for $20. Already had Keenan Allen for $19. Added on Larry Fitzgerald for $3. He had Antonio Gates already for $3. This is where it gets really nice. Randall Cobb for $25. Michael Crabtree for $1. Cincinnati D for $1. Mason Crosby for $1. Alfred Morris $2. Jamal Charles $19. Zach Ertz $1. Doug Baldwin $29. I wasn't a fan with that, but I get it.
There was nothing left at that time.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins $1. Gio Bernard $2. And LeGarrette Blount $1.
I mean, this is just clear. He waited. He sat back and he waited, which was the same thing that I was doing. And it kind of backfired on my end because I sat back and I waited, but there was one man sitting back waiting with me, and that was Dennis. That's why, I know you don't like the Doug Baldwin for $29. No,
I get it.
If you think about it, there was nobody left. Yeah. After Doug Baldwin, the next best receiver at that moment was Devontae Parker, who, by the way, wasn't even drafted. So that's how bad it was, and that's how scarce that wide receiver was. So I give him credit. He sat back and he waited, and he has a well-rounded team as well. The running backs scare me a little bit. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. C.J. Anderson and Jamal Charles scare me because they're both injury-prone guys. We don't know what we're going to get from them. But overall, I think Dennis did what Dennis does, and he drafted very well.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Pops is up.
Next one, Pops. So this one was interesting because, literally he grabbed, when you grabbed the, 3 or 4 first players off the bat.
That's what he does. Pops doesn't play games.
You deserve to be in the top 2 of drafting. I mean, that's just the bottom line. So Pops already had Aaron Rodgers for $19. Already had Mark Ingram for $1. He already had, what was the other one? I lost
Todd
him.
Gurley.
Todd Gurley, which he did in the pre-draft for $32. But then he adds, and Allen Robinson, for $12. But then he adds on Alshon Jeffrey for $39. He gets a Kobe Fleener for $6. He gets an Ezekiel Elliott for $43 right there. Bam. And then the rest of his team, KCD for $1, Dan Bailey $1, Sammy Coates $1, Tony Romo $1, Stephon Diggs $1, Frank Gore $1, Marvin Jones $1, Matt Jones $1, and Anquan Bolden for $1.
I mean, he did what he does. He drafted very, very well. I'm not a fan of his bench. I say this every single year.
Yep.
But Pops doesn't care about his bench. Pops figures it out as free agency goes on. So that's what Pops is. This shouldn't be as a surprise. This is exactly what he does. Pops is the opposite of myself and a Rich, where we like to have a well-rounded team. Pops is, no, I'm going to go top heavy, and I'll figure the rest out as the season goes along. That's exactly what he did.
Yeah, he did. Excellent job. And then the man who surprised everybody, who came out.
Surprised who? He ain't surprised me. Well, I called it. I said it.
Yeah, he didn't surprise you, but he surprised me. And that's Anthony, the best draft. Congratulations, sir. He already had Jameis Winston. He had McCoy for 25. He already had Hopkins for 28. And this is what he does after that. He adds a Jordy Nelson for 42. Comes back with Jordy Reed for 20. Jonathan Stewart, he bought for 19. Gets a David Johnson for 46. Gets Arizona D for 2. Hauschka for $1. Gets a nice Matt Forte for $10. Michael Floyd for 5. A Gary Barnidge for 2. A Sterling Sharp for 3. Carlson Palmer for 12. Josh Gordon for 5. And DeMarco Murray for 5.
This was an amazing draft. I went into it, and I had multiple discussions with Anthony. And the goal was, when him and I were talking, he wanted to get 2 of 3 players. He wanted to get either David Johnson, Jordy Nelson, David Johnson, Jordan Reed, Jordy Nelson, or Jordan Reed. And Jordan Reed. He got all 3. He got all 3 of them.
He did.
Not only did he get all 3, then he also added Matt Forte to the bench. Sterling Shepard. He also got Michael Floyd. He got Carson Palmer. He still got Josh Gordon. Then he has another starting running back in DeMarco Murray. This was an amazing draft. He more than made up for not keeping Sammy Watkins. Props to you, Anthony. I told you to spend. You spent. This guy's going to say, well, you didn't spend it all, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? You still did an amazing job.
No, you did. Yeah, you left $10 on the table, but, where else would you put it at? You didn't miss on anybody from what I remember.
Definitely did not.
So even the $10, maybe you put it on another guy, or maybe one of the guys that you were like, you can take him. But then what? You lose out on possibly a Sterling Sharp, possibly a Gary Barnidge. Those are nice keeper tag prices.
Listen, for the sake of my Giants, that's the second time you said it. His name is Sterling Shepard. Not
whatever,
Sterling Sharp.
Whatever. Same.
Have respect.
Congratulations to Anthony, sir. You are the best drafter. All right, let's talk real talk now, because it doesn't matter what paper looks like. It all matters on what the field is and how it's going to translate into wins.
That's right.
So, my friend, how do you want to do this? You want to go from bottom team to top, or you want to just go straight into playoffs?
Let's go straight into playoffs, man. Let's go straight into the playoffs. Who cares about bottom 4?
All right. Throw your 4 through 1 out.
Well, 4 is going to be, I believe you. I have you at number 4. I have Anthony at number 3. I have Dennis at number 2, and I have myself at number 1.
I got the same teams, but in different orders.
Okay.
So I have myself number 2, Dennis 4.
But it can't be that. It can't be that. Remember, the division winner has to be.
Yeah, so, excuse me. So, myself 2nd, and then him 3, because he would be a division finisher.
Okay.
Anthony 4, Powers 1.
Okay. So, let's go ahead and let's talk about this a little bit. So, you feel that your roster, because that's where we really differentiate, is you and Dennis, right?
Yes.
You and Dennis is where the change is. So, what is it that you feel that you have Dennis beat? As far as advantage-wise.
As far as the roster is concerned, I do feel when you look at Dennis's roster, and my argument is simply he has a Keenan Allen, and Keenan Allen's a terrific talent, but then there is a Dez Bryant that you have to work against.
I gave you the sheet, didn't I?
You did.
There we go.
When you compare to, all right, so you go down the list and you say, okay. So he'll probably put Jamal Charles and a C.J. Anderson in the lineup at running back, right? So then I have an Eddie Lacy and Jamal Charles. To me, they're the same guys, so that's a wash right there. So then you're looking at Randall Cobb versus Mike Evans and Amari Cooper or T.Y. Hilton, which I feel like I have him there. And then you have his tight end Antonio Gates, which is better right now. Gates is a not top 10, but he's right there at 10 as far as a tight end. I have to make up that. But then, when you look at Cam and Luck, I feel like that's a wash right there. So is it by much? Probably not, but that's why I feel like we're both 2 and 3 right there. I feel like this is We're simply maybe a half game away from each other, and I just feel that my roster currently as it today stands a little bit better, and I feel that we will be the 2 and 3rd best teams, and it's close.
So you feel that your team, as currently constituted right now, is better than Anthony's team? Because you're saying you have Anthony basically the way it's set. If I heard you understood you correctly, you said you're going to be the 2nd and 3rd best teams.
Yeah,
which means myself 1, and then you 2nd,
and
then
Anthony's in your division, correct?
Yes.
So that's why I feel like Anthony's got a tougher road. He's got to go through Pops you,
and Rich.
Exactly.
And Rich
that's tough. I'm not saying Anthony's is not capable of being a great team. I just feel the road for Anthony is much harder than for me and Dennis. When me and Dennis that's where it's going to be close. We'll be able to beat those other teams in our division. It's going to come down to this matchup, and that's why I feel like we're the 2nd and 3rd best team as it is today.
So then, one last thing here, because we have to show respect. We gave all this credit to Pops having the 2nd best draft. Why is he not in the playoffs?
I mean, Pops has a tough road, and I honestly, we say this, and this is the wild card of Pops. When he doesn't have a bench, if everything goes great, Pops has the capability of killing and crushing everybody. When things go bad for Pops, they go epically bad.
Yes.
There is no one way or another, and I just feel time and time again, there's just been too many injuries in the league. I feel like he's going to sustain one, especially if they play for Dallas. And he has most of these guys playing for Dallas.
Yeah.
I just feel like his roster can't recover from that if that were to happen.
This is my concern right here. And Pops, again, I'm not hating on you. Okay, I think if you're healthy, you're definitely a playoff team. You're probably better than my team if healthy. Alshon Jeffrey, injury prone. Kobe Fleener, injury prone. Ezekiel Elliott already dealing with hamstring issues. So then, if let's say for example you lose guys, you have Stephon Diggs off the bench, Frank Gore, who I do like Frank Gore actually, Marvin Jones. I do like Matt Jones, but he's injured already too. He got injured in yesterday's game. And then Anquan Bolden. This is, again, not hating by any means. And also, Mark Ingram's another guy that's injury prone. Let's not forget. He's injury prone as well. So, if you're healthy, you're the number 1 seed, probably. That's a big if, though. That's the issue there. That's a big if. But it was a great draft. Dennis, you really threw me off because I had a plan. Everything went through, but when I wanted to spend, you kept blocking me. I give you props for that. You know what? Because of you, I had a bad draft. So, great job, Steve. It was a pleasure, as always. We'll be doing more of this.
One more question before we leave.
Yes.
You got to pick one of the 4 who may surprise us that we didn't pick today. Of the teams that you see between a Rich, a Lewis, and a Dom, and a Pops.
Pops. I'm going to cut you off right there. Pops.
You really think Pops is that?
Yeah, because Pops' team is that good. Pops' team is that good. The thing that scares me is the health concern. But Pops' team is a solid, rock solid team. Absolutely Pops.
There you have it, guys. There's our picks. There's our draft breakdowns. You'll be seeing more of us, hopefully.
Absolutely, you will be. We out. Stay safe. Be safe. Peace.